How often do you smoke these days?
How often? Well, I live in LA now. I mean, I was smoking every day. Now I smoke every day, but even a little more probably.
Just marijuana.
Yeah, marijuana, yeah. Well, we call it flower in California now. That's the proper terminology. It's all about relabeling, normalizing the culture and stuff. So within the industry, we actually call it flower now. We don't even call it marijuana. We call it like flower, refer to it.
But aside from flower, you don't smoke cigarettes, cigars.
I have cigarette occasionally, but for the most part, just flower and the hash and, all the extracts and stuff like that. I'm not into the heroin or the crack or anything like that,
Hookah?
Hookah, only when I go to like a Dominican spot, because the Dominicans love hookah, back in New York. So, I'm not a big hookah guy.
Now, what does smoking flower do for you exactly?
Well, it's just part of my everyday routine. It kind of helps calm me. It helps me creatively. It's just something that's been ingrained in me. I've been using, I guess, since I was like 14. So it's about 20 years I've been a cannabis user. User is the wrong term. Cannabis aficionado. I don't know how to call it. User sounds so negative. Like, that's the thing. We have to change the perception of cannabis. And that's already happening with CBD. Like, CBD is now fully 100% legal, and people are coming around to that. So that's like literally kind of a gateway drug to acceptance of cannabis. But yeah, just strictly the flower. I like to, smoke in the morning, smoke in the afternoon, and that sort of thing, yeah.
I see. Well, I ask because it can do different. I mean, people have different reasons why they do it. So just curious.
Yeah.
At that.
Well, it's also very it's a way to bond with people as well. I have a lot of friends. Obviously, a lot of people that are in the creative field are known to partake in smoking. So it's something that we just wrap ideas around and stuff like that. That sort of thing.
Do you have a favorite strain?
Favorite strain? I guess anything that's like an OG right now. The OGs are very hot. It's funny that being from New York loves sour diesel. We grew up it's all about the gas, the sour diesel. But then I moved to the West Coast. I realized everyone laughs at everyone back in New York about sour diesel, because sour diesel actually takes longer to grow, and it's really not even that great in comparison to the gelatos and the cookies and the OGs and stuff like that. So my palate and my expertise on this subject has really grown tremendously in the last year since I've been over there, because I was there helping build the farm, and now, I was there for the first harvest and there for the first packaging and the first joint. We specialize strictly in pre-rolls. We don't sell it by the pound or by anything. We just only pre-roll package.
And what is this that you're speaking of exactly?
The pre-roll, so it's a 1 gram pre-roll joint, basically, of the flower. That's how we basically sell it to the dispensaries and everything. We're fully state licensed and everything, and it's been going good so far, just excited to keep spreading the word.
I know you mentioned it to me off camera.
Yeah.
But we weren't recording that portion. But just because we started this segment just a few minutes ago, care to share about, because when you said we do pre-rolls, exactly what company is the that sort of thing.
Oh, we roll our pre-rolls in raw paper. Shout outs to Josh over there at Raw Paper. They've been very helpful. We have their logo on our brand. And basically we grind it down, use a machine to get it all down. And then there's a machine that has 400 and something slots. You got to fill each one. Then you dump it in and it shakes it up. And it's a whole process. But we feel like that's the future of cannabis consumption, because a lot of people don't know how to roll, or it's tough, or they just want something that's ready, cool, ready to go. So we think that that's the future of cannabis consumption. So that's why we sort of went all in with the pre-rolls.
Like a cigarette. It's already...
Yeah, it's just in a joint paper, like a cone kind of thing, like a raw cone. It's just we make sure it's all whole flower. We trim the buds meticulously so there's no trim. Because the reason pre-rolls get a bad rep is a lot of people just throw the trim in there and just like low quality buds, and it's mixed all together and it tastes like shit. Our stuff tastes really good, and you just gotta come look for it. Find locations on our website.
Well, when I said cigarette, I guess I meant more of an analogy. Nobody rolls up a cigarette. It's already...
Right. Well, some people do. Some people like to buy loose tobacco and roll it up. But this comes pre-rolled in a joint like a cigarette. But it's obviously, we don't want to be compared to cigarettes, because a lot of people who consume cannabis want nothing to do with tobacco. That's why it's funny, because some brands make pre-rolls and they make them look like cigarettes. They even put a cigarette type filter on it. And I'm like, that's retarded. Why would you do that? That's stupid. People don't want that.
And you said brand. You kept saying brand, our brand, this, that, and there. What brand are you speaking of, I guess is what
our brand is called Supreme Green, and we just launched a few months ago in California, and we're just, hitting the ground, trying to get it out there. But there's so many brands out there right now. Everyone's kind of trying to grab a foothold in the game, because once it's federally legal, all the big brand, Philip Morris, all these big, multi-conglomerate corporations that are coming and basically, okay, what are the top 10 brands here in California? Let's go buy them out for $100 million. Like, that's basically what everyone's doing at this point. Everyone's just kind of like buying time for the buyout. Like, it's kind of, and that's the reality of it,
It's a race, more or less.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a race to the bottom in some regards, because everyone's kind of like outpricing each other. Like, it's like to get shelf space, so it's hard when you're a smaller brand like ours who's trying to get off the ground, as opposed to say like, a big brand like a Jungle Boys or Cookies, who have like, a lot of money behind it and a history and stuff like that. It's all about creating a strong brand that people are going to want. Because even in the hood now, fucking like dealers on the street, they be packaging the shit in branded stuff, because they realize it's all about having that brand. Like, it's like that Blue Magic, baby, like, that kind of shit. They want to come for the brand.
Now, these days, when it comes to smoking, how do you usually smoke it?
In a joint, typically, like in the pre-roll, like I said, or I gotta buy the raw cones and I stuff them in there. I used to smoke when I was growing up, Vanilla Dutches, which I realize now as an adult and after living in California for almost a year is disgusting. Like, I went back to New York for the first time. I was like, I used to roll it in processed paper and then put an additional leaf on that processed paper. Like, this is disgusting. I can't even taste the weed, So now I stay away from, I'll have a backwood here and there, but mostly paper joints.
Now, you mentioned earlier, you probably started smoking about 14.
Yeah, high
you were
school.
14 years old.
Yeah, high school, yeah.
And at this point, you're 34.
Yeah.
As of this interview. But at 14, do you remember your first time actually smoking?
I mean, it's kind of all just like faded apart, but I went to a school called Bronx Science. It's a very specialized high school in New York. You got to take a test to get in. You might have heard like Stuyvesant High School or Brooklyn Tech. So there's a place called Harris Field where everyone knows that's where the potheads would hang out and stuff. So freshman year, I remember going up there, because I knew some older kids, so I would hang out with the older kids when I was a freshman. So that's kind of what introduced me to smoking pot. But it was like Reggie back then. It was like the kids nowadays have it so good. They don't even realize like the years of suffering we had to go through smoking Mexican and Jamaican brickweed. That was like the grossest thing, with seeds and stems, and it tasted just like jaracas. And now they have friggin' oil pens in class. Like, these kids got it too easy nowadays. We had to struggle with our consumption growing up.
Back then, I know it's kind of hazy, but the first time, if you can remember some of these details of these next questions, was it influence back then? Was it peer pressure? Was it curiosity?
Yeah, I think it was curiosity, and obviously, you're a teenager. You want to try things that are taboo and stuff like that. You want to experiment. I mean, I even tried acid when I was 14. Like around the same time I tried marijuana, I tried acid, which is a hard drug, for a lot of people. Like 14 taking acid, I haven't taken it in a long time, but that opened my mind and experience a lot. So at that age.
Were your parents smokers by any chance?
Just in college, I believe. They stopped smoking. Like, they haven't smoked in years and years and years, but they know I consume and they're okay with it. Well, especially now I'm successful and doing my own thing, and killing it.
No, but back when you were 14, were they smokers themselves?
Oh, no.
I see.
No, they were not smoking. They did not approve of me smoking the devil's lettuce.
Now, okay. Again, you're kind of hazy at 14, but still I'm going to ask you these questions anyways. Your first time smoking, if you can recollect, did you actually get high the very first time?
I mean, I definitely felt something. It probably did more like a lightheadedness, because I wasn't even smoking cigarettes yet at that point. So I definitely remember like just some lightheadedness. I think I was in this girl. What the hell was her name? Was it Carrie? Some like hot blonde girl, and I think she was like a sophomore. And like I was hanging out with my other friend, and we were smoking in her car. I remember. I just thought it was like so cool.
It was a good experience that first time?
I mean, I kept going with it. I mean, back in high school, I think I pretty much smoked every day back in high school, and I still performed really well. I'm someone who's like a high functioning pothead, I guess is the way to use it.
The reason why I ask these types of questions is because when I've done these types of interviews before, I've heard people have bad experiences their first time smoking. And sometimes people don't get high because they're not doing it right.
Right, they don't know how to inhale. Well, that's what's funny is like I'll hang out with people now because I meet so many people. And I'm like, oh, you want to smoke? And be like, yeah, sure. And they'll grab it. And I'm watching them. They don't inhale it. Like I'm like, give me my fucking joint back. Like, what do you like? But they're like capping, or they want to like look cool in front of me. I don't know what their motive is exactly, but like, no, you're not inhaling. Like, what are you doing? You're not smoking.
Now, do you remember the first time your parents caught you smoking marijuana? Or flower, I should say.
Yeah, flower. Yeah, I mean, I just came home smelling like weed. You know, I didn't have eye drops in. I was a dumb kid. I didn't know any better. We used to smoke in the staircase of my building like for years growing up. And, like my friend's mom would like sometimes walk in on us when me and my friend Neil were smoking in the staircase and stuff. They weren't stupid like my parents. You know, they know. But as long as I was getting B's or better in school, like, you know, what are they gonna do? You know.
So that very first time, I don't know if you can remember, but were they disappointed? Were they upset? Were they surprised?
I think they were just concerned. You know, they just want to make sure I knew about it because my parents are both social workers. So I come from a family where like I got long family talks, like 2 hours. Like, do you understand? Like, why you do? You know? And sometimes I'd be like, damn it, my friends whose parents hit them are really lucky. Like, I would just rather take a belt like across the ass or a slap across the face to sit here for the next 2 hours getting lectured, you know, by some therapists.
But didn't get reprimanded like in the
No, I never really got like punished. I was never like grounded or stuff like that. You know.
Now, at this point, when it comes to your smoking, are you addicted to it?
I would say, I mean, that's a dark word to use. I enjoy it every day. I mean, I'm sure I can go a few days without using, but I definitely look at it as a normal thing. I don't look at it as some like horrible thing. To me, smoking a joint is like having a beer. Like, you know, it should be given the same sort of merit as the other, you know. And cannabis is obviously far less harmful than alcohol or tobacco. Alcohol and tobacco kill way more people than marijuana ever has. So to me, it's all about changing people's perceptions. And that's a big part of what I'm doing, because I make a lot of content, obviously, to promote our brand, Supreme Green. But at the same time, we also want to help normalize. That's why, like a lot of skits, I'm a cop and I'm smoking weed. Like, you know, we want to help normalize this and make this feel like this isn't a weird thing, that everyone enjoys cannabis and it's smoked across all races, all classes, you know, and that it's something that shouldn't be demonized.
I know that at one point in the conversation, you said at 14, not only were you smoking for the first time, but you tried things such as acid.
Yeah, acid, shrooms, you know, all those psychedelics.
Was flower a gateway towards these other things that you tried?
No, not really. I mean, they're all there. I think it's a demonizing term, gateway drug. Like, it's not like, oh, if I haven't touched the pot, then I want to try these other things. I mean, when you're at that age, you want to experiment. Like, you want to expand your mind. I think that's totally normal as if for a child. But at the same time, there's people friends of mine that I remember doing, who couldn't handle it. They flunked out of school. Like, you know, I'm just blessed that I was born with a certain, I guess, just ability to be able to be a functional person that also enjoys consuming cannabis.
Longest you think you went without smoking?
Probably like a week, I guess, when I was in another country where I just couldn't find any. But nowadays, it's so easy to find, nowadays.
Ever been arrested for it?
Not for cannabis. I got arrested when I was 16 for doing a scratchy, I remember, on a train. I was so stupid. I was on the one train. I was doing, a scratchy when you scratch like a window with sandpaper. And my dumb ass, I was like, 16, and I was doing it. And some undercover cops busted me. They were talking in Spanish beforehand, so I thought they were just some people from Washington Heights, but they ended up being cops. I did a whole weekend in bookings. I remember because it was Passover, and the cops had to call my mom on Passover. We had family over, Jewish holiday, big Passover thing. Like, Mrs. Berger, like, your son's in lockup. He's not coming home for Passover. Like, oh, my God, So it was a big deal back then, but we made it through.
For people that's not familiar, what is the point of the scratching the window? What does that do?
Oh, that was to scratch my name. My graffiti name used to be Bud, so I'd scratch, B-U-D. I did it in lowercase, so you would see it perfectly on both sides of the window, you know what I mean? So I used to be like the scratchy king. I used to do a lot of,
So you
allegedly, I used to do that kind of stuff, you know. But
so you were more or less tagging it.
yeah, I used to. Well, me and all my friends were into graffiti culture back then. You know, I mean, this is 20 years ago, so that's past the statute of limitations, probably, right? 20 years. Yeah, I think we're good.
Now, what about women? Has your smoking ever been a deal breaker when it came to women?
Well, I know I definitely personally if I'm seeing a girl and I know she does, I try my best to stay away, or like, you know, I'll take a Juul instead of a cigarette, you know, just so I don't have that smell on me. So yeah, you gotta, you know, if she's worth it, I'll do my best to not use it and stuff.
But has a female ever tried to get you to stop it? Quit it?
No, because usually women I've dated are usually into smoking pot and stuff like that, you know. I don't think I'm going to be with someone who doesn't have the same core beliefs and interests that I do.
Now, I know you smoke, but does any type of health issues that stem from actually the act of smoking, using your lungs and things of that nature?
Well, I'm sure I mean, I know it's not good for me, obviously, smoking. It's not overall, and obviously I'm a little pudgy in the tummy area. But, you know, I'm just going to go to DR and get my body done. I'll be all right, you know, just take all the fat from here, you know, put it to some girl's butt, you know, that needs it, you know, something like that.
So not a worry for you?
No, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Now, I know when it comes to flour, that can be expensive for some people. When it comes to your personal use, have you ever calculated how much you probably spend on it in, let's say, a month's time?
I don't think I've actually sat down to do the actual math, but you figure I probably half ounce a week maybe, and that's at like, you know, 2 hours, so you know, I mean, shit. Now I'm thinking about it. It's adding up. Yeah, it gotta be at least like $8,000 or $10,000 a year. I would say maybe for smoking. I don't know. No, not that. No, that's too much. No, because weed's cheaper in California. I forgot about that. It's cheaper. You know, you get really good deals in California now. It's not like when we were younger where it was like super expensive. But yeah, to me, I'm all about experiences. I enjoy cannabis. I like the feelings. I'm not about material possessions. If you see, I don't have no chains on, no drip or anything like that. You know, I'm all about legacy and just having a good time. And that's why, like now, like I honestly just rent a room at my friend's house. Like I don't need a whole big fancy. I don't need something in Atlantic Station, like some wild, crazy, like Lamborghini, whatever. I don't need that. Like as long as I'm got my phone and my computer and my bed, and I can make content and make money and stack my paper and have fun, then that's all I need.
Do you get the celebrity discount when it comes to flour?
Occasionally, once in a while, but at dispensaries they'll usually recognize me. But like, you know, sometimes I'll get. Well, when I go to like events, like people will give me, like back in New York, there's a lot of like underground like cannabis events where vendors come in, and so if I just do a little walk around the room or I'm hosting, usually people are like, yo, here you go, like I shout them out on my story or something like that. So that's a nice little perk, you know, of the game, and now being a cannabis influencer as well.
Whatever amount that you do spend on it is, I imagine I know the answer to this next question, but I'm still going to ask anyways. Whatever the amount that you do actually spend on it, is it worth it to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, going back to what we were saying earlier, is like I don't live with any regrets in my life. You know, I live in the moment. I like what I like to do, and cannabis is a big part of my life. It just is integrated very well, and I think it helps me creatively with what I do.
And with the Supreme Green situation, are you more so just endorsing it?
No, this is me and my best friend. You know, of 30 years. We've been in this from the beginning, and we're just really getting off the ground. So I have a vested interest in it. I have equity in the brand. So this isn't just like I'm some hired gun coming in saying whatever. Like, you know, I haven't been paid a dime yet for what I've been doing, but that's the benefit of us being friends, is I've been able to help build this brand, you know, and giving it easily $100,000 worth of social media promotion, you know, before we've even really like made it out there. But obviously I have equity, so it all pays off in the end.
Now, my final question to you, I know that you even actually mentioned this during this segment where, you know, somebody might, you know, want to get the joint passed from you to them so they can take a puff or whatever, and you kind of they're not inhaling it, that sort of thing that you mentioned. But when it comes to other popular people, when it comes to other celebrities, things of that nature, have you ever been disappointed by somebody smoking? For instance, maybe somebody has a reputation for being a big smoker, and when you actually get a chance to smoke with them, you're like, wow, this is kind of disappointing. They're not really who I thought they would be.
No, I can't really think of anyone specific that I would have been disappointed. If anything, I approve that they're smoking cannabis. But I don't think there's anyone that I've been like, oh wait, you don't smoke or anything. Nothing that I could think of.
Or someone that couldn't hang, maybe.
Oh, my good friend Kush Poppy. He gets so lit when we smoke. I don't know if you did an interview with him, but he gets retarded when we smoke. I'm like, bro, we're shooting the skit first. You're not smoking like that,
Yes, I have had the pleasure to interview him.
Yeah, okay, got you. So you know that.